This video is sponsored by TradeIt.gg, the #1 cross-game trading website that allows you to trade between games such as CSGO, PUBG, Dota 2, H1Z1, Rust, TF2, and Steam in general. This is cross-game trading, meaning you can trade between any of the supported games, with the lowest taking commissions on the internet. Over $500,000 of inventory is on their website. They basically have every skin you can think of, so a user can get any skin that they have ever wanted. This is incredibly fast trading. It's essentially just like trading with any other person using the site's inventory. You click a few buttons, you pick what you want, and it's done. Using the link down in the description below, you get an extra 0.5% and an extra $0.5 free on top of everything that you do if you use the referral code and the referral link down in the description below with the referral code VNN. Thank you very much to TradeIt.gg for sponsoring this video, and hopefully we'll be able to have them sponsor something again in the future. Team Fortress 2 is my favorite multiplayer game ever made, and likely my third favorite game ever made, depending on what mood I'm in. Some of my best gaming memories have been spent in this game, and there is very little else that can get me as excited as a major content update. I have been consistently reporting and speculating on major TF2 updates since 2011, and lately it seems that this cycle of updates, hints, and speculation has seemed to slow down quite significantly. It's really been since Meet Your Match in 2016 that the assumed content cycle of summer update, winter update, Halloween, and minor contents between seems to have ended. However, the difference between even 2016 and 2018 is the lack of any kind of hints the public has on even another update even happening. And that has caused many, including me, to be a little worried for the future of my beloved community. That said, these last few weeks have proven that even though the cycle has significantly changed, it hasn't ended. And there have finally been a few things that have occurred that hint towards anything happening in the future of Team Fortress 2. First, let's all realize that the Blue Moon update did happen, not all that far away, and not all that far after the initial release of Jungle Inferno, and it, as a whole, was an incredible update with content rivaling some of the medium-sized content updates of years past. That said, the major issue I have with this update was the complete lack of official communication and fanfare surrounding it. This was the competitive rework the entire community needed and was begging for. However, aside from the people already wrapped up in a communication network for TF2, not many people would have heard about this major addition, leading the platform to remain stagnant in player numbers and making many outside the realm of the hardcore praise the game for its lasting appeal, yet mourn the perceived death of the service. In my opinion, TF2 doesn't have a player problem, a balance problem, or even a communication problem. It has a marketing problem. Team Fortress 2 is a weird outlier in the history of the video game industry. Here's a game that came out when I was 10 years old, and through many innovative, lucrative, and creative decisions, kept a player base that has consistently been in Steam's top 10 games ever since its release. Now, I'm 21, and I still have some of my closest friends and best moments in gaming, both professionally and personally, being made today thanks to this ever-aging game. And at least from a community standpoint, it doesn't seem to be stopping. I cannot tell you the number of people I meet in the real world that, when hearing about what I do for a living, being Valve News Network, they usually respond with, "Oh, Valve, those are the guys that made Team Fortress 2. Man, I missed that game. If only it was still around." The general public doesn't pay attention to Facepunch or r/TF2 or YouTube videos for their information on what games to play. They rely on word of mouth, and Team Fortress 2 seems to be perceived incorrectly due to, in no small part, to Valve's lack of any real advertising or marketing for this game with an unthinkable amount of player potential even 10 years on. Blue Moon had a blog post, and Jungle Inferno had a multi-million viewed source filmmaker teaser. However, that didn't change the fact that none of my real-world gaming friends had zero clue that anything happened. I've always had the idea in the back of my mind that Valve usually relies on the community pillars to advertise their games for them, and although that may work in some regard, not too long ago I heard a rumor that Jungle Inferno was a test to gauge the community response to a full TF2 update and how much the game could grow if massive amounts of content were poured into it. Now, whether or not this was the case, I feel that although Jungle Inferno was a success in feeding the community already established, not releasing the competitive update with the rest greatly reduced the amount of eyes that would have seen it, and not pushing it any more than just a Steam summer sale likely did not grab the number of people that would be possible if Valve had some sort of marketing budget. Now, everything I've said thus far hinges on whether Valve intends to still keep this game updated with new content, something that last month I was questioning, but now Well, in the month of August, we've had 2 updates to the game. The first on August 2nd that brought a large number of in-game medals for community events and nothing else. And a second that SteamDB picked up on that was not reported anywhere else. Now, before going any further, please realize that SteamDB does glitch out from time to time, so this report might be a bug. However, on August 10th, it seemed that Team Fortress 2's bot population files for all man vs. machine maps were refreshed, for no discernible reason. These files control the types, numbers, and groups of bots that spawn in mission waves, and it doesn't seem to have changed much at all, if anything, but it was still picked up by SteamDB. At the same time, the TF blog received its first post since Blue Moon, and surprisingly, it was announcing Insomnia for the first time being on the blog and not in the news section. Now, these things that just happened do mean that there is at least one single person working on the game, enough to be able to keep the blog and a few medals up to date. Yes! Jay Pinkerton also returned to Valve as well, who ended his previous tenure by telling people that the last TF2 comic was outlined long before he left, and if he never was given the opportunity to finish it in an official manner, he would tell the story around a campfire. But he's back, so another TF2 related person. Then you have what Valve did in VR. Nearing the end of last month, Valve added a Team Fortress 2 themed map into Steam VR Home, all themed around Mercenary Park and the Administrator. However, being a completely original map, in Source 2, mind you. This also included a few nods to TF2 lore, and the mini sentry being a placeable item. It's a smallish piece of content. However, more use of the TF2 IP and more possibilities towards new content being developed. Then there is the ultra fun game situation that will be explained in full in the next Valve catch-up, but to sum up, an official secret group made by Steam team members posted an announcement with this image using a community-made illustration of the Balloonicorn, and that is absolutely everything there is to point towards a future major content update for Team Fortress 2. All of this happened in the month of August. However, all of this is nothing compared to what we had this far into the development of Jungle Inferno. What I don't understand in this possible situation is that if the Team Fortress 2 team disbanded and Valve didn't see a purpose in continuing this platform, why wouldn't they implement a system where the absolute best community-made content would consistently be added into the game at certain points in the year? The Team Fortress 2 community is incredibly resilient, like one of the most resilient in the PC space, other than maybe a few of Valve's other communities. And they're willing to put up with the continued threats of end-of-life support, and they're still creating amazing content on a consistent basis. Even if Valve chooses to end official content support, they should undoubtedly continue to add community content at least. For example, Canteen Crasher, the unofficial MVM community event I discussed a few months ago in a video, has finally picked their winners and has been running servers for people to play the new missions for free, all linked down below. And the custom TF2 weapons servers have had a gigantic update with brand new servers allowing many more people to experiment with the community-made weapons with new stats and ideas for free. Now with an advertised 600 plus weapon changes, IPs down below. And of course, the maps continue to be created, and in the month of August, my favorites were Payload Stranded, a nighttime payload map created by ICS, the mapper that brought us Hellstone and Brimstone into Team Fortress 2. This is a somewhat confusing multi-themed map, meaning that there are places where the weather changes from summer to winter. And although some interior areas are pretty choky, this is an overall enjoyable payload map. Co-op Compound. Borrowing a page from CSGO, this is essentially a co-op strike map for Team Fortress 2, meaning this is a full co-op mission, and that's incredibly interesting. The level design is totally there, and I could see this being a much more expanded game mode. However, the obvious fact that Team Fortress 2 is not built for it comes up, and CSGO has exclusive weapons, scripts, AI, and assets specifically for cooperative mode, meaning that your experience that you have in Team Fortress 2 will not be anywhere near CSGO. That said, if you are interested in playing something completely different for TF2, this map is definitely for you. CTF Shipment, a slight port of a COD 4 map. This Capture the Flag map is very small by design and gives the players shipping containers, nature, and dumpsters to hide within. The map is incredibly fun if the server you are playing on only has a few people, and the overall size really works well with CTF. And like always, these maps will be placed on the VNN Community Catch-Up Server, aside from the co-op map. So anyone can play these new community-created maps and possibly give some feedback to the creators. And like always, the maps from last month will be moved into the map rotation of the CCU Archive Server, and both IPs are down in the description below. And once again, if anyone has any questions for the Team Fortress team, if one is still around, feel free to comment them, and I'll be sending the most popular of them to the Team Fortress team emails. Now, I've been doing this for a while now, and I have not received an email from Valve about Team Fortress 2 for a very long time. That said, I have a feeling that Team Fortress 2 has at least one update left in it. Otherwise, everybody else is working on Artifact and HOVR to be ready for release. Either way, new content